or in their arsenal this time round. This is straight up compared to settings, compared to play. We can talk about strategies and predictions for days and the win conditions to see exactly who's going to come out on top. But so far, it's very hard to tell. I don't think we're going to be able to get a flavour of the spice we're going to get here in this matchup until this first map gets underway. But for any new player into the Halo competitive scene, if you do struggle with the rest of the pack or anything like that, which some, the odd player too may do, but of course it's all about damage dealt, running with your player on spawn to the nearest to your nearest teammate. Little things here and there will definitely make a huge difference. But very excited to see the outcome of this first game.
Yeah, we want to give a huge shout out to, I believe, Crim6, who might have just rated and or hosted this stream. Shout out, Porter. We appreciate you as always. We hope you're enjoying Infinite, and of course, Game Pass has PC games. Let's get in to our first match in the semifinal. This is a best of 5. All matches moving forward will be a best of 5 format. We are now into traditional HCS settings, so VR starts everywhere, and well, you know what that means. We're going to get to see Frosty do what he does best, which is win individual gunfights, but off the rip, you got the opposition side. It's Mikwin, the runner-ups in the Halo Championship Series. Well, we're waiting to see what he can pop off with.
This is exactly it. If anyone at home wants to know who Daddy HCS is, that is Randa. That is his old GT from back in the day. Nice to see it come back once more. It's still doing pretty well at the moment. Do a lot of damage across the board. Still having a few struggles, but that crouch strafe there you saw from GIGZ was very good. But in the end, it's going to be Randa comes out on top, gets found out bottom mid in the courtyard straight away, and literally blasting straight through.
And Aquarius can be so punishing if you don't have a great hold at mid-map, and we say that pretty much all the time, but it really comes down to those team trades. If you're able to kind of circle back together, get that cyclical rotation through mid-map, control top camo, you can get the team shot toward neither side and really start to pinch out for those back alleys. Everything else, though, you're looking for about 2 wipes before you can pull that flag cleanly, and potentially a third to get the cap through. A couple of beatdowns, and we'll trade kills here as Frosty drops, and that's going to be 2 dead for the moment. Team Frosty don't have numbers, and now you're waiting on GIGZ's POV. What's the decision here is Dynamo grenades will slow down a couple at mid, but it's a huge gunfight in the back, and Maniac can't close it down. Here comes GIGZ, and here comes Team GIGZ.
GIGZ going absolutely huge here. Gets that first initial kill, looking for the second, but again, Frosty drops down just in the nick of time. Tusk could at least try and capitalize to get the trade if he can. But GIGZ finally does get taken down. And in this matchup, especially for Aquarius CTF, once you got full map control, you need at least 1 player top mid, 2 players pushing for the flag, and 1 person at least holding either utility or fridge, just in order to block those spawns and just keep them in check. You want to try and at least push him towards the utility spawns, because Carbine, very open, very hard to get away from. And of course, your opponents, if there's at least 3 alive, are going to keep you in check day in, day out. But Trunks managed to get the kill onto Randa. Enable gets one of his own. So very back and forth so far. Not really too much to talk about as of yet, but we are going to get the first flag grab already, and we're going to see exactly how they're going to pan this out, keeping them on the spawn.
And there are similarities that play parallel to the way Bazaar tends to form out. You're really looking for those first 2 wipes. If you can grab camo, it makes the pull a little bit easier, and there we see it now, as Mikwin will have camo, and he has positions to not only help his teammates at bottom mid, but if you're going to rotate toward neither side, you will try to win that team fight. Avoid the nades as much as possible. At the moment, though, 9 kills for Mikwin, make it 10. He's on a roll now. He's on a 3 spree. Can he find more? Well, he's got 1 in front, and Maniac will shut down that as quickly as it starts. So camo's been burned, and that means there's more pressure down at the bottom mid area. Here comes the chance. Now we move to the other side, and we'll see what happens as we put more pressure on the back cabinet. But until things move, until things kind of stabilize, you're going to try to wait for another team hold, and more importantly, for those trades to come through.
It's just nice to see Mikwin competing again. Nice to see him bring a little bit of flair back onto the server, already going 10-4. As Frosty still has flag in hand, just a little bit cautious on the circumstances of what could be behind him with his opponents pushing up onto the courtyard, but gets it onto their side. So it's just a matter of slaying them out, making sure to try and secure this flag cap. But saying that, though, all 4 members of Team GIGZ are alive. It's just a matter of being able to try and stop Frosty if they can, but the dynamo grenades come out in full effect. Also, will he be able to cap it? Yes, he does. That's going to be the first flag on the board.
And you were worried about maybe that pressure at bottom mid, or if you try to play through the pit, you get stunned from the back. That dynamo grenade essentially secures the first pull and the cap. So it's going to be 1-0 lead for Team Frosty, and this was going to be the biggest question mark going in, right? Like, did the pros, are they just warmed up and they've been waiting all day to finally get to their normal settings? It seems like that might be the case. Frosty at 5-5 on the other side. Mikwin at 13-5, having a very good start in this series. Again, this is only game 1. Still got a long way to go, but with shots like that, guys got to pick it up just a little bit more. That double kill does just that, and Maniac, fighting for his life, needs some help.
Yeah, some of these players are probably getting used to having the BR in hand rather than the skewer, the rockets, the shock rifle, everything else in between what we've seen in the previous 5 series. It's been a long day, and it's still going to get longer here. Plenty more games to come. Of course, this is the semi-final, and it's best of 5. We've got the grand finals to come straight after, which will also be a best of 5 in this single elim bracket. So Mikwin, though, still continuing to be a force to be reckoned with, 15-5. Make sure to keep an eye on him and exactly what he does in terms of what he gets up to. Good dynamite grenade. The problem is, even though no one was there on CTF, he did make sure to see if anyone was on the flag to throw the first one. The second one was also very good. Gets enough damage down to hopefully have some of his teammates to try and clean that up. But we said it before, if you're ever struggling, like, you know, in terms of slaying power or anything like that, just get the damage dealt in. Run with a teammate, especially on spawn. Make sure you do that. Keep in pairs consistently across the board. Aquarius is very popular for that and very common, and this is a great way to really kind of warm yourself up in this matchup, especially on this map.
You know, we've been very confident and aggressive with that camo early on, and the Dynamo Grenades have essentially secured 2 runs. More importantly, it's turned 1v2s into manageable 1v1s. You can have numbers help to rotate in. Speaking of that, the pistol will not clean up the third, but it was a valiant effort on the left side. And now we try to get in position for potential decap here. As we move in, here's a big gunfight. You have to win if you're Enable. He does just that. Can't get the touch and won't extend the life of this flag, but nades might secure anything here. A couple of challenges at bottom mid, and they will escape for the moment. So pit locked down for Team GIGZ. Mikwin really putting everybody in a backpack at 19-7. On the other side, Enable leading the charge with the most kills at the start. How long will this one continue on? You only need 5 caps, but it's a long way to go. And with these constant 1v1 battles, it really doesn't do much for establishing some presence at that 50-yard line. Everything else being even, you're going to need more team shots across the board.
Certainly will do. Love to use of the slide mechanic here in terms of the advanced movement, pushing on forward. So now GIGZ just having a look around to see exactly what he can find. Doesn't find anything as of yet, but we'll get the pull in to at least distract his opponents and try and bring them at bay, but they're still pushing on forward as of absolutely no need to pull back as of yet. And even though they're going to pull the flag into courtyard, he hasn't even been shot yet. Space finally he gets cleaned up. It took a little bit of time. I think they're a little bit worried about how they're going to pull their own opponent's flag here, but camo is still out here for Mikwin, just again making sure the surroundings are covered, make sure they've been kept back at bay. Top mid, you can see trying to lay the shots down, and remember, sometimes it's not just about stopping them from capping the flag, because they're going to no matter what. It's a matter of getting the slays, getting at least 2 once the cap is done, and then getting the counter straight afterwards.
That's literally it. It's about setting up the counterattack. And at this point, you've burned camo twice. You've played it very aggressively, but I don't dislike the call. But here comes a potential chance for that counterattack. Looks like the flag will continue to move on, and we got the juggle now all the way towards the backside of their base, and this should be an easy cap going through. I think you have numbers down. It's going to be at least 1. If you bait now, try to get it through, and that should be the second. It will be. So very quickly, like you talked about, Lethal, setting up for the counterattack once you've known that you've lost the cap, and then get one all the way back.
Tusk, it's nice to see his name on the scoreboard in this event once again. Haven't seen him in a while. He was a breakthrough player back on Halo 3 in 2019 in a few of those big 2v2 events in the past, and he was known for his BR skill, his aim skill, his gun skill all round really across the board. And don't forget about that strategic aggression he has behind him, and Mikwin is let's say he's definitely following off that as well. 24-9 here, Space. 24-9. Couldn't make up if you tried.
Yeah, he's pulled out the backpack. We will ignore that nade real quick, but he pulled out the backpack, and it's gonna take that kind of effort because GIGZ is at 5-16, right? You've got camo now 3 times, but can you rally that? Can you put that to good use at this point? We're taking challenges from top mid. A quick picture-in-picture for how the base looks. Killing spree at the moment is Enable. Will get cut down. Still have 3 alive for Team Frosty. It's going to be another pull right out towards bottom mid and a chance to stay alive for more. Can we contest on the flag? Tusk has to be careful. Has the weapon at range, and with the BR emptying clips the way it's done so far, these 4 shots have been deadly as Mikwin puts his 27th on the board. He's literally going demon mode.
He's just not having a day off, is he, Space? Literally just going in with the pistol as well. Nice way to clean that up in utility. Flag will return. It's still 2-1 in favour of Frosty though, but time is of the essence here. 3 minutes left. Another kill on the board here for Tusk. Just 13 assists though. Like, the amount of damage dealt from this man has just been absurd. Like, the way he's always just positioning himself, getting great angles, great positions, always have a positive impact no matter where he stands, and also backing off at the peak moment, because Aquarius is heavily like bait and switch. We know the bait and switch mechanic is, you know, quite big in terms of, it's more of a Halo-esque kind of trait, but in terms of bait and switch in Aquarius, you're going to see a lot more of that compared to other maps. It's already now Tusk holding top mid, getting a few more damage done, a few more kills along the way, using that commando now just to try and keep his opponents off in Fridge.
We had a 4-man spread across both teams, and it was numbers alive, but quickly they fall and dwindles. GIGZ is the only one who is yet to come off respawn, but with 4 up for Team Frosty, this is when you start to apply some of that pressure, and you use those dynamo grenades to clear the back base, and that's exactly what they're going to do here. And you can see that the flag has now been pulled. You'll get an extra kill there as Enable finds one, but a quickly response from Team GIGZ kind of slows this push down. Now you have to play for that second wipe. That's going to be the big problem. It's a 2-1 ball game, but anything is possible on Aquarius. We know that CTF can be a drawn-out stance. At this point, you got to dip and dive your way into the base.
And what I love about Halo Infinite as well is the individual ability as well in terms of your strafe pattern. You see a lot of different strafes. Some people have it standard, some have quite quick. The slow crouch strafe, that seems to be the most common. Some fast ones of people feeling a little bit cheeky, getting a little bit leery across the board. We've seen that on quite a few occasions, but we've seen a lot of personality in this game, which is what we love to see here across the board. But just going back to Maniac now, looking to try and clean up in utility, which he does manage to do, going on the jump up for the flag, going to make sure there's no one else around. But he has a feeling there might be, though. Just double checking to make sure the spawns are going to be a bit skew with, considering someone was around Fridge. So they're probably going to spawn back. Yeah, they're going to spawn back flag as the assumption. One of the tertiary spawns there you've got to be well aware of. And you've got to be careful, because once Fridge and utility is covered, they could spawn pretty much on that back flag or somewhere random like P1 or underneath Hydro.
Yeah, and if you're already pushed up, you're basically playing for the adjacent angle. You're playing for that dry peak in hopes that if you get the kill, great, you can try to get a quick pull. If not, maybe you have someone rotating in off spawn who can help you with the 2v1. In this situation, though, you're really looking at Mikwin's numbers. He's about to drop a 40 bomb. The next closest in the lobby is Enable at 24 and 20. Mikwin is doing literally everything he possibly can to keep Team GIGZ in this game. And yet they are down a flag with about 38 seconds to go. If they lose this game 1, you better hit the hardest regain, because I would be absolutely furious.
I think we could say it's going to slam the desk, which, to be fair, I probably would do as well. But we know these players aren't like that at all. They've got a strong mental fortitude coming into this matchup. They know that there's going to be a lot of bits and pieces they're going to take in. But you've got to remember, Tusk and Trunks have the assist to back it up, and GIGZ with the objective play as well. It's working a little bit in their favour, but the problem is the slays need to come out at some stage. So a lot of cleanups needs to happen, because you've got to remember, 10 seconds left. They need to try and at least get a pull to keep this going, which they have done. But the problem is, can they even get another cap?
Well, it's going to need every single ounce. It's not going to happen. That is a 37 bomb for an L. Game 1 goes to Team Frosty pretty convincingly. And my goodness, that is very, very rough. I know Mikwin is probably...
Hold station, hold around arcade, so at least that way it kind of pushes them towards Bulldog and that purple bend. Very, very open areas where you could easily get caught with your trousers down on a number of occasions here. So we've got to keep an eye out on the setups, the strategies, the counterattacks they're going to use, and exactly where they're going to spawn from the get-go.
Yeah, the conversation will not be as dangerous this time. When we're focused on rockets, we're focused on the Bulldog. We don't have to worry about whether you got a skewer in your back pocket that you're going to be lightened up off rip. Early on, this is game number 2 for just joining us. The semifinals underway. It's Enable. 100 Thieves getting it done early on with the rockets, but that will still be in play as we move pressure down to the B steps. It's going to be a bit of a gunfight as we move back driveway, but all things buried even at this point, we are looking at the fact that Mikwin put in the hard carry, the big backpack in game 1. Can he keep it up in game 2?
Well, I hope so for their sake. Ooh, that was very juicy from Mikwin. Looks like he's not letting down at all. 2 kills, 2 assists. Make that third already. Just already going on the hunt once more. And yeah, this is definitely looking to be his game, even from the very beginning. Already up 7-2 this early on, and Mikwin just holding Arcade down like a trooper, dropping down to Plaza Stairs. He's not going to have absolutely none of it. He's done the damage. He's done the deed. He wants to just keep him back for now. Try and use that commando to see if anyone's going to come up around at that station. Ben has backed away, but you saw Ben. I was pretty surprised. One of the players still holding around that Plaza Stairs.
Well, unless you're able to hit that together and maybe we get a nice little jump here, it could be as that commando will strip the shields and might clean it up, but the BR not good from close range. It's Frosty who's able to trade him out, finally gets his first kill on the board here in game 2. This Slayer going by very quickly. It's 10-4 early on, still plenty of time in this one, but Mikwin off to a hot start, 5-1. And he has just continued to roll from game 1. If there was anyone who can control B Street, like we said, it's going to be Mikwin. But how do you respond back? Maniac's still looking for his first kill. Enable will get some help at the lower streets. And now we look for the hop up. That could be a freebie, as unfortunately, we just got a little bit of issues getting over the bend, and GIGZ will shut him down. Well, things slow down for the moment. It is now 13-8.
I think he was baiting out the clamber, and at the same time he realised his opponent was quite weak. So he was like, oh, okay, you know, we'll just pop on over and just try and finish the D. But sadly, it did not get it done. But the damage was done anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. And nice to see GIGZ back on form as well. We had a little bit of a struggle in terms of that first map. Seemed about to come back into it. MikWin just continuing on this warpath, 6-2 with the 3 assists. Like, that's a lot of damage in his space. And he's just here, there, and just absolutely everywhere. But I talked about it before, where this street is super important. Cav Street is a bit too open for my liking. And if you've got Station and that Arcade Street, it can be a very difficult task to try and grab back.
Oh God! Oh! It's a little bit late in the day. It's not late enough for that, though. I was worried we're gonna put him on the highlight reel. Listen, MikWin was playing around rockets for about 30 seconds. That's pretty axiomatic. We expect that, but the roaming from MikWin is what's dangerous. Luckily, Team Frosty recognized. They move in, they find the kill, they shut it down, and the team shots now starting to light up a little. Maniac yet to find his first, but here it comes with a stalker rifle. That's why we pick it up. Welcome to your top 5. Maniac can do absolute dirty work with this one. 7 kills, 5 deaths for Enable, and on the hunt is Maniac. He's going to get behind 1 on B steps. This should be a free kill, but unfortunately, just can't lock down the angle. And, well, we continue on with just a 2-kill lead. Team GIGZ holding on by the skin of their nails. We'll see how long it lasts.
And you'll notice as well that no one, and I mean barely anyone, is around that Bulldog area or the Calf area. It's not the best of spots to hold or to even go by for a flank or a counter attack. And I mentioned that right at the very beginning. And again, it's just all about this one street in particular. You've got to be careful about the flanks around Station or even around back A. So there's a lot to take into account here. And any times you will see them make that push around Calf is, of course, for that Bulldog. Maybe going for the ball, but of course it's not odd ball, but especially for those rockets. And one thing I want to see a bit more of the rockets as well. The animation for picking up the rockets is so long. It's best to try and pick them up at the very last second towards the edge of that radius, so that way you can get back or try and get away a little bit quicker if you do try and grab those in mid.
Yeah, you're no longer just trying to dirty the rockets for respawn. You're more importantly trying to dirty it for the animation, so you can hope you get a shot off before you get tagged or spotted out. But Tusk having a better game. 4 and 5 on the other side. GIGZ not triple negative this time. We hate to point it out, but it's important. Game 1 was rough, and MikWin had to do most of the dirty work. Here, it's been a team effort. It's a 3-kill lead, but how long will it last? Pressure over to Arcade, and Frosty walks his way through the initial gunfight, and GIGZ will drop. We'll see him back and respawn in a couple of moments, but that 2-kill lead moves to 3. Could it be 4? Now we put some pressure over to A-Dom, and you bank those nades off the ceiling. It's going to be a little bit easier, but that triple fight will not work out. Sentinel's bodies dropping everywhere, and now rockets are back up. We can spank a couple butts with this one. GIGZ out, ready. He's got the power weapon in hand. This one's going to be fun.
Mate, grabbing rockets uncontested, it's definitely something you don't normally see every day. They got a couple of kills anyway before that, but still not really much contention there. So they're going to be pretty pleased about that, not taking any damage there across the board. Trunks does get enabled. Frosty takes down Tusk in the meantime. And now MikWin just flanking on round. Just 7 assists as well to his name, but he's been shot back and forth from the back. Sadly for him, he will get taken down. But remember though, Frosty does have the Bulldog in hand. Looking to see if there's anyone else on Plaza Stairs. He won't find anyone as of yet. But again, just keeping an eye on the open area. Looking at Purple Bend as well.
Ooh.
We'll get 1. Looking to try get 2 if he can, but won't find sign of him as of yet. But it doesn't matter. He got the assist for it. Someone else has already cleaned him up.
I mean, things seem pretty quiet at this moment in time, Lethal, and it's not usually by happenstance. At this point, you're playing team trades, and that's absolutely the name of the game. It's only a 1-kill game, with that said. 9 and 9 for Enable, and Frosty leading the charge for Team Frosty on the other side. Again, MikWin doing what he can, but it's much more of a rounded effort. But there's more pressure to Arcade now. Red Room becoming a bloodbath as Daddy will slide in and unfortunately catch those hands. It can be dangerous trying to move up streets alone. Make sure you have a pen pal, a buddy, someone to work behind you at all times. Tie game here, coming down the stretch, but Stalker Rifle once more in the hands of Team Frosty. Never mind, it's Team GIGZ. It's Trunks. He has it. He almost rips Enable off the heady. And that would have been dangerous to open things up, but unfortunately, it will not connect.
And this is what I was talking about. At some stage in this game, they're going to hold Station, they're going to hold Arcade, and then they're just going to let the fights come to them. Force them into the open. Use that head glitch spot as well if anyone comes around Purple Bend, which is what they're going to try and abuse here. But remember, they still have 2 rockets in the chamber. But Maniac is just trying to look for a opportune moment. He was looking for, was hoping for his opponent to go back into the station, but he did not. But we'll find one in the end. Doesn't clean him up in the end space. A little bit of a surprise here, but it will get traded out. But still 1 rocket left in that chamber if anyone eventually does get to it.
I mean, sometimes you put a little bit too much faith in that splash damage. I've done it a billion times, specifically on this map. But the worst thing you want to do is give away possession of rocks. No matter how many are left in the tank, We want to use one at a time and hope that someone's there to trade just in case. We'll escape towards the oddball spawn, but hold on. Purple control here with Rocks. That's a free kill on C steps, and you got Bulldog. All of a sudden, Frosty's starting to light things up at bottom C, and he's chasing down Predator. Prey, doesn't matter. The Apex has arrived. He's got 2 in the bag. Mikwin, we'll see you on respawn, brother. Nades, boosts, it doesn't matter. Frosty's here, and he wants to close this game out.
Certainly does, has a 6-kill lead. He's just taking these fights just as if it's anything. Like, I'm quite surprised. Normally, most people would have just backed off from there and then just let someone else do the cleanup. But instead, he's just going on. And he was rocking a T2 combo earlier on. But again, making good use of that Bulldog. And remember here, Space, only 3 kills left here for Team Frosty. Make that 2 now, as they're literally just on the warpath. They just want to close this out, trying to make it 2-0 in the series.
Oh, man.
One more, and Frosty's looking for it. Doesn't get it, but Enable certainly will do. And that is going to be 2-0 currently in this best of 5. And it's going to be a very, very tough task indeed here. But you know what? I've seen more Fiesta than I can handle here so far, Space. I think I've seen, this is probably the most amount of Fiesta I've seen in my lifetime. It's time to go back into compared to play once more. We're going to start from Maniacs POV. We're going to have a little bit of an oddball session here, Space, and find out exactly what mischief Team GIGZ can get up to try and keep themselves in this series.
We've already grabbed Sword. Maniac could not stay alive long enough. Camo is still available at bottom pit, so this is going to be the interesting part of round 1 in the beginning of this first round. How do we set up for ball control? More importantly, can we get to Attic without Camo? It looks like maybe, but just shy of the door. He will get cut down. Shout out to GIGZ for that kill. And now we just try to find our way back to batteries. But at this point in time, if you're just joining us, again, welcome to the semifinals. This is your 2 powerhouse teams, essentially an 8's lobby and Halo. And it's been back and forth, but this game could decide it all. And with the Mangler in hand, it might just do that. Enable, not long for this world. Bing bong. See you later.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I absolutely bloody love the Mangler. It's such a great weapon to use from all ranges, but in the right hands, it can be very, very difficult for the opponents in order to try and keep themselves alive. But at the moment, no. Enable's still trying to find his feet on the ground here, but I'm sure he will do it at some stage. But like I said, this is oddball. This is recharge. We're looking for that fork counter attack, but needs to come into fruition. You know, if you've got the ball set up around gold, around attic, you want your opponents to force themselves around pipes. You want them to force them into that turbine area because it's so open and so difficult for your opponents to even try and crack through. There's not really much point. You might as well wait for the rest of your team to slide from all angles, of course. But again, you've got to try and dissect the map surgically in order to try and break this setup.
Ooh, that nade, that cross nade that basically shuts down the push with the Sword. And if you're rocking Sword, you're hoping either, you know, long haul, or you can move back up to attic and play down in pipes. That's where you can lock down a couple of kills and really kind of dictate where this ball moves. At this point, though, we have stayed at 3-3 for what seems like a minute. Pit control for the moment, as Daddy will once more be down here. Yes, I know it's a different name. I don't care. It's hilarious. I'm saying it. He has been putting on a clinic so far. Camo's now up. We have ball finally moving its way towards attic, but still, it's been isolated gunfights for the majority of this, and here's a little spot for you, a cheeky one at that. Shout out to Shyway for showing the masses. We're going to be seeing more of that as this series moves on.
We certainly will do. It's now Randa just sneaking by with a camo, but it looks like the job's already been done, so he's probably thinking to himself, okay, well, what do I do next? But it's fine, he can just do a little bit more damage onto the bottom elevator. And again, some nice assists coming out from Randa, but he needs to make a little bit more use of his camo if he can. He's doing a great job, don't get me wrong, but he needs to try and work his way around turbine possibly, because long haul, it seems like none of the players even flanking Randa. It's because Randa's assuming that they're going to go long haul. They're assuming that they may push around attic or try and push through top gold or even on the attic stairs. But the problem is, Team GIGZ, they're not even doing that. They seem to be just pushing turbine, which they're just fine with.
Yeah, there's really 2 ways you're going to play. If you're spawning top control or really towards that side, you're going to have to slow rotate through bottom A and hope that you could pinch in the back of pipes. Even there, you're hoping the nade checks might give you enough for a strip and possibly a challenge where you play a 2-on-1. That's a free kill and really a free hold on ball, but unfortunately, they just haven't been able to find much. Now, you have a chance with a shock rifle to potentially respawn, but Frosty just lights him up from range. He gives him a warning shot. Don't you dare come near long haul. We will have this locked down. I believe Team GIGZ might have more opportunities now to put points on the board, but with this, you're so weak. Nobody's around except Mikwin, who's now working through the backup pipes. And with turbine control here, could we see a potential noob combo to open up the site? It looks like it's possible, but until much happens, we are still waiting at a bit of a slow game.
Oh, the combo just missed, but he still managed to come out on top. But that was more due to the fact that GIGZ gave him a little bit of a helping hand, dropping the ball and adding a little bit more to the table. Nice play ball there again from Randa, because it's been sitting in top gold for quite a while. It's the only way to break this setup, really. And where right now Maniac was standing on Sneaky, that's also another great potential spot for the ball. Just hold Sneaky, Plat, Long Haul, and maybe even Attic just to feed your team information. Another great setup. There's at least 3 or 4 good setups you can hold here in order to collect a decent amount of time. But it's all about Maniac and how we can try and play out with this camo. But even though we switched around, we can see what Randa can do. Still trying to hold gold and round pipes. Oh, he got comboed and already looking very good here as Team GIGZ trying to get themselves way back in this matchup.
I mean, I like the idea from Maniac. He was trying to stay alive long enough to potentially help his teammates swing back around A, control the catwalk, and from there, that extension over to control makes it a lot easier to rotate the ball, but unfortunately, he just couldn't find enough time. And this is where things get a little bit dangerous. Team GIGZ could really put this first round away if they just maintain the pressure at back A, but it's going to come down to a couple of follow-up trades and some team wipes. That nade might flush. It won't be enough. A challenge, a win, and Naval will fall quickly and McWin back on ball on point. He's going to drop down. Noob combo misses. Here comes a grapple all the way to the back. McWin with the harpoon, but it isn't enough to clean up the kill.
Certainly wasn't, but already did a huge amount of damage. I don't think anyone expected him to grapple onto him and try and assassinate him either, as another assist will come here for Randa. It's just literally just adding another to his tally, just trying to stay alive, but I don't think he will be able to. He's caught in a pretty bad spot here, Space. So yeah, he'll get cleaned up. It's 1 down now for Team Frosty, but again, Frosty trying to keep themselves in. That's 3 down for Team Frosty. No reason why Team GIGZ can't get any more ball time.
I love that the most exciting part of this game so far was that harpoon, but it leads to nothing. Yet you still have time ticking away slowly but surely. And, well, if you can move your way into pipes, and you can set up for a solid chunk of time, we're talking 20, 30 seconds, this game gets much more interesting. You start putting some pressure on Team Frosty to have to make an overextension, get out of position, and overcommit themselves on a push, as GIGZ will trade out. So it looks like it's 2 up for the moment. And Team GIGZ have to play their numbers appropriately. We currently have camo in hands of, yes, Daddy HCS, and he'll be on ball. Now you try to move up to Attic if you can, play the team fight, hold, get some points on the board.
And you saw Maniac trying to push him with the mangler in pipes. It's like I said before, like you could have any power weapon in the world. Pushing pipes is just absurdly difficult. It's such a tough task to even put on, especially on your own. The only way you can do is to have a huge amount of distraction from long haul, from top generator maybe. Maybe if someone pushes Attic and completely distracts the opposing force, then you've got an opportunity here to push pipes. And the double comes out already here for Mania. I was looking for the triple, but the first round will go in favor of Team Frosty. One more, and that's going to be a 3-0 series.
It was 20 seconds around that point when we were fighting the fight at batteries, and a couple of big wins that came through, really. But in the end, the timer doesn't often come into play. We see it there, and maybe that's just the way this one's going to play in the semifinals. Still game number 3. It's a 2-0 lead for Team Frosty. However, they need one more round, and they'll close this one out. A bit of a bloodbath early on. Not the cleanest Halo, but can't expect too much when these boys have been playing for about 10 hours, and we spent, what, 9 of them playing with skewers and energy swords? It might take some time to warm up.
Yeah, we were just told as well, no one grabbed the energy sword since the first one, which was a little bit of a surprise, but at the same time, it just shows how much of an impact they're trying to make with the BR instead. Just keeping this synergy, the chemistry going. 2 down already, thanks to Mania. Nice way to start off this second round. The only way they can try and come back in, it will lose that last BR ban. It was Frosty. Does manage to win that one. Task looking to try and go for the trade, but you can see Frosty playing silly buggers there around Turbine, just being able to stay alive. That was absolute madness, but so far, still all even Stevens here, Space.
Yeah, quality shots from the BR ring out at range, but we will pull our attention back to Sword Spawn, and Frosty recognizes that, well, numbers aren't up, so someone might be overextending back and grabbing Sword, and if that's the case, now we have to prioritize that exact engagement. Maniac working his way through the backup pipes, and currently Enable will try to bait out one. Camo not up for the moment. Ball still there, and Enable drops. Now we have ball, we have sword, and things are looking good for Team GIGZ. Now they just got to get in position to hold this one for a bit.
But this is where, if it was me, I would just push long haul, get sneaky. You've already got 2 players in long haul space, so this would be a perfect time. But instead, they're just trying to claw back as much time as possible when the sword comes out. So he had ball and sword, so he had a little bit of a secret in his back pocket here. Love to see it already. Frosty also trying to stay alive on top of that. But I must say, though, looking a lot better here from Team GIGZ, but they need to keep the consistency up on a high.
I like that call, Lethal. I mean, getting kind of more numbers over towards long haul because, again, you know, what is the escape card? What is the route you're going to take to get out of dodge when things get hairy? If you don't have control of attic, you move down long haul. You try to throw that ball at the cut. If not, get towards C and reset it. Try to play back to batteries. At this point, it's basically been even across the board. We have had possession for some length of time. Finally, a challenge. Oh, will not get the beat down, but guess what? It's a trade there, so ball's dead for the moment. It will get reset unless someone comes to pick it up. And that's been a good chunk of time at long haul. So Lethal, you called it. They've set up nicely, and they've always had numbers there to lead block as that ball gets time.
It certainly does, and the good thing about being in a sneaky spot with the ball is just due to the fact that it's so easy to play. You've got absolutely no excuse to give your opponents any more additional time. It's not like you've got to move it very far either. It forces them to go around long haul. It forces them to go potentially around bottom generator to plat. So it makes it really, really awkward for the opposing team. Yeah, sure, it's not the best setup in the world, but it's a great way to just force your opponents out of that attic gold kind of position and then have to try and make continuous flanks it. But a bit of trouble here already. 3 down now for Team FROSTY. Team GIGZ, again, as I mentioned before, looking much, much better in terms of their slaying power and trying to at least tie this up because they're doing a good job of it so far, Space. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, this has been the most dominant start for this oddball that any team has had. I mean, we've only played a round, so sample size is pretty small. But at this point, you're just hoping for a nice recovery on the side of Team FROSTY. Maybe a couple of points, and by a couple, I mean like 20 or 30 if you can. Make this game doable. Other than that, you basically chalk up this round and go next, because at this point in time, they have not been able to win the team fight, and Abel trying to escape with barely any shields. He will get there just to get on point. And now we use the shock rifle to the best of its advantage. It's FROSTY with a headshot. FROSTY. Oh, I somehow misses the second one. Okay, that's fine. Well, they still have possession of the ball, and they have long haul side locked down. This is when you need to put 40 on the board, because that would have been a great break open a turbine.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, oh, you know, you've got a little bit of a guarantee here to try and get a double on the board. But sadly, it just was not the case, as there's been a little bit of a role reversal compared to what we saw in the first round of this oddball game. GIGZ is currently down, as that's going to be a nice little cue here for Team FROSTY to try and claw their way back into it. And there's no reason why they can't either. 2.5 minutes left, managed to grapple the ball to himself, and now back to their old setup. And remember though, Team GIGZ had a real struggle in order to break this.
All hot gamers use the grapple to grapple the ball. It's so satisfying. It is so satisfying. Oh, get yourself the shock rifle. Get both. Bait him in. Shut him down. Energy sword back up. Control right now. It's 74-30. Look, anything is possible on recharge. I'm not going to say this one's done. But if you have the shock rifle, you're starting to hit now on a killing spree. Maniac with a mangler, and just in case people get a little too personal up close, this one is entirely doable. It will take a Herculean effort, but my goodness, you got the grapple, you got the shock rifle and the mangler. Lethal. Stranger things have happened.
That is true. Maniac trying to continue to be the most electrifying man on the server right now, and still continue to do his deed here, just holding that top gold area and got ball in hand as well. The man's just literally on a mission here, just trying to be an all-rounder to try and seal the deal. He wants to win it out in the best of 5, so in the best of 5. He wants to win it in a 3-0 series. I don't. I'm a bit selfish. I want to go to a map 5, but it looks like it may not be the case, because again, Team GIGZ struggling to break this setup. I was explaining how it needs to be broken, but the problem is the team just aren't pushing it in sync.
Well, if you push one at a time in pipes, you're basically guaranteed to give up control. You're not going to be able to win much. The shock rifle finally lands on the second attempt. Oh, hold that, brother. Hold that, Mangler. Oh, God, Maniac. No, Maniac. No, that's 3. A triple kill for Maniac. Pipes controlled attic. Where are you going? There's nothing up here. It's just antiques. And Maniac, one of the oldest ones you're going to find, but he's still got the thumbs. He's got the skill. Maniac for 4. Wipes them all off the board. A lead now for Team FROSTY. A complete resurgence in this game and a potential 3-0 series win.
And that's why the Mangler is a very dangerous weapon indeed. And now it's all, well, you could say Team FROSTY have literally overtaken it. They were like 70 seconds behind at one stage, Space. And no, this time around, just pushing towards the Plasma Pistol, getting towards pipes. Doesn't actually win that bout. A little bit of a shocker there. I was expecting a bit of a trade, but it doesn't matter. Maniac does get the trade for him as GIGZ retrades back on out once again. Back to FROSTY's screen. He gets taken down. 2 down for Team FROSTY. Team GIGZ, this could be a chance for them to continue to hold this ball and tie things up here in game number 3.
Lethal, you're going to need a break. I mean, we just saw like 80 uncontested points towards back attic. And, well, similar situations here. The hold at batteries might be perfect enough to close this one away. The lead is there at the moment for Team GIGZ, but how long will it last? 86 and counting. They have to find a break, and Team Frosty got to find it now. There's one kill out in front. Mick wins 16 and 12, but here comes a push from behind. I think that might be Enable, but even if it's not, you got to get numbers inside. Enable will drop. Daddy on the opposite end, and Daddy's starting to sign some adoption papers. He gets both. 95 to 82. Ball uncontested, neutralized for the moment. It's anyone's game down in the final seconds.
I love this. Both teams have got so much patience and discipline here, knowing that if they just go and grab the ball, there's no way they're going to hold it for near enough time, especially for Team Frosty. So they're just waiting to try and bait out the opposing side, and they're struggling. That's going to be at least one down for either side. And now going on to Turbine, you can see once more Brand just trying to do a little bit more damage here, just to try and put more pressure and suffocate him in that generator room. And now trying to do the same again. But it's been a tough task from both teams. 35 seconds left though. And remember, Team GIGZ can just play for time around.
They can play for time, but not only that, Camo's up in 20. So worst case scenario, you burn Camo, you just kill a play. You play spoiler in the back. What a win! Trunks just absolutely annihilates one. And that might be all they needed. You got 20 seconds. Camo's up in 5. You literally play the next 10. You play it appropriately. You win your team shots. You're good. You win this, and you move on to a game number 4. It's coming down to the wire. No one's on ball. 10 seconds to go. That is it. That's going to be game number 3. Locked up, but hold on. Hold on. They're on it. 5 seconds, now neutralized. Anyone's got to be on the ball. They still have control. Frosty, last alive. Frosty, he wins a beatdown, but ball's up. Trunks just has to play his life. 0 seconds now, and there it will be, friends. It's game number 3. Team GIGZ lock it up, and they move it to a game 4.
That was dangerous territory here, mate. Dangerous territory. I was a little bit surprised, but of course they knew that for Team GIGZ, as long as they just time wasted enough, it should be perfectly fine.
Uh-oh, I'm absolutely blasted. It's been a long day. I'm absolutely blasted. We still got another round. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Oh, well.
I've got you.
We're good. You know what? Lethal, if you weren't here, I'd be screaming.
That's right. Added a bit more of a smile to my face if I hear the screams come out of you. But don't worry, it's fine. I've got your back as already now. Team Frosty's still looking to try and get this early lead coming on in. And Slayers are coming up back and forth. But actually, it's mainly from Team Frosty's side. They're already 5 to their name and trying to get a little bit more ball time, but just struggling to get this set up here, Space.
You have to think at this point, with the way that the last round went, with how quickly the swing was from Team Frosty, with how quickly they were able to establish a hold and kind of lock down their hold in attic, surely that momentum is not going to be lost going into the next round, even with that close finish in round number 2.
No, I wouldn't think so at all in the slightest. It's, if anything, it should make them realise that now there's no reason why they can't come back in this matchup. Just take it one round, one game at a time. Eventually, you'll get what is due to you, as long as you keep bringing up these huge plays. As now, Maniac is currently down, but it's 2 down now for Team GIGZ. And it's just constant trades here back and forth. No one really showing any elements of dominance as of yet. Just trying to get map control. And, of course, Camo coming up very shortly here. But we do have Team Frosty now able to hold on to the ball for a fair amount of time here. Trying to make a decent rotation, but also trying to play ball. So adding a little bit more to the timer.
Yeah.
And looking already this. So let's see what Team GIGZ can do in order to try and recover from this.
It's been 1 down per side at a time, but not much else has transpired past that point. Shock rifle in hand for Tusk. A bit of positioning here in the top of attic, and you're going to take that challenge all day, every day, as the nade will strip shield, but not too much will be threatening at this point. He will escape with his life, but the lead's still there for Team Frosty, and pressure mounting at top control. This is where you need to put your BRs in position to find those crosses and really lock down ball. If you can get a couple of pre-nades, you break this hold at bottom A, you get some solid time on the board, and the challenge in the back won't be good enough. It's another big win on the board. And 27-19, could be 27-20. Still players around the site, but no one's been able to find the clean hold. Finally, a chance, but there's one more kill.
There we go. Enable doing the dirty here, getting a nice little double and also picking up the ball. And it's just a matter of how and when and he wants to try and rotate, but it seems like he's going to be holding the turbine area, just waiting for his teammates to feed himself information until he decides what rotation he wants to take. And this is a nice little setup go, just having one attic, one pipes, and now going into turbine. But this is one of the setups I was talking about. Just at least you've got a guy in attic to feed info. You've got Maniac also trying to find out what's going on from the elevator and generator side. And once more, Enable can make the call if anyone's approaching him from the batteries or from the catwalk into Turbine here. So looking very good already for 59 seconds now. Needs another 40 in order to try and secure this 3-0 victory.
And if I have teammates currently at batteries and one towards bottom pipes on the cut, and you have Maniac kind of circling his way back to control, there's really no need to give up possession. You just hold ball, and even if you have to play it till you die, you do that. 75 and counting, just about 25 points away, and I think they know at this point, with this hold, the unbreakable setup they've had so far, and the constant kills they've been finding at mid-map to keep pressure off ball. Now a chance, and really the only one you're going to get if you're Team GIGZ. One final attempt to break the hold at back A. Nades fly out, but they have not been able to clean up Enable. He stayed alive long enough where Camo could now become a factor. And even with that loss, you have 4 dead. Make it 3 as players come off respawn. 6 seconds till Camo comes in. Team GIGZ needed that break desperately.
But for Team GIGZ, so they need to hold around 3 pushes in order to try and come back in this matchup. And there's no reason why they can't, but Tusk, he needs to do something huge. Feed his team info, find out exactly where they're going. There we go. There's one going turbo and one's going round Platts as well. And this is where he's got to be patient and let the frags come to him. Managed to get one. This is exactly what he needed. Stay alive with the camo. And again, finds Frosty. That's going to be 2. Looking for the 3rd as well. Will he be able to get it? Gets to triple. And the thing is, oh, where's the over? It's actually just blow him. But sadly for him, he's not going to be able to get it, which is exactly what I want to see. Patience, discipline, just making sure to continue this sneaky plays here and there. And the worst thing is here, Space, is the fact that the death cycle for Team Frosty is really bad right now. So they're struggling to even push this. Finally gets taken down, but at this moment in time, only 1 or 2 counterattacks left here from Team Frosty.
Yeah, they were starting to split numbers at mid-map, and Enable wins just a massive 1v1. That just keeps numbers alive. You can push the bottom ramp and force a 2v1 on ball, which, again, is a lot better than taking that individually. But speaking of which, at bottom pipes, it's Enable who wins 1, can't find the 2nd, but somehow playing his life to perfection on ball. Doesn't matter. Here comes Tusk for the cleanup. And again, a situation where it seems that a quick swing was all that was needed, but 6 seconds, make it 4. All you need to lock this one in this series in the hands of who else? Frosty. That's going to be it. Finally, it's a 3-0, and finally, this one is done. Game 3, locked.